Fictional couples. They're either annoying, don't make any sense, pretty cute, or freaking adorable. I tend not to really care about which characters end up together from any given franchise, but for these 10 couples, they have stolen my heart as much as they've stolen each other's. If you've seen my Zelink video, which if you haven't, you can see it here, then you know generally how I feel about people shipping characters. When a fanbase from any series starts shipping a bunch of characters prematurely, I might add, it can often detract from real and good conversations about the plot or ideas being presented in whatever form of media it is, whether it's a book, a game, a movie, a TV series. It's also frankly just annoying. That said, there are still several well-established fictional couples that have left quite an impression on me. Some because of their story, and others it's because how inspirational their relationship is and how it shows the beauty of how men and women can complement one another. So on that note, here's a list of my personal top 10 favorite fictional couples. Number 10 is Mickey and Minnie Mouse from the Disney franchise. Cheesy? Yeah, sometimes, but what I think is really going on is that these two have an old-fashioned kind of love that they share between them. I mean, the way Mickey always calls her my girl is just beyond adorable. It's also a very strong relationship. I mean, they've been going on for several decades. It's pretty dang good if you ask me. Without a doubt, this duo is one of the sweetest on my list. Number 9. Wesley and Buttercup from The Princess Bride. This one kind of starts off with that classic fairy tale cheesiness, but it quickly evolves into something kind of funny but also very strong. And honestly, some of that cheesiness you could probably chuck up to the way Grandpa's reading it to his grandson. Anyway, these two are determined to be together. Their love is incredibly strong, and their determination makes them each as individuals braver and stronger because of it. They're both willing to endure anything for the other. Tie that into the classic hilarious movie that is The Princess Bride, and you can totally understand why they made the list. Number 8 is Carl and Ellie from Disney Pixar's Up. I'm sure many might be surprised that this couple made it as low as 8. I just have couples I love even more than these two, what can I say? However, of course these two were gonna be on the list. It took Pixar less than 5 minutes to tell one of the most beautiful, sincere, gut-wrenching, and tragic love stories ever without words. But I think probably my favorite thing about this couple is the fact that they were adventure buddies. They were best friends, and they decided to take on the adventure of life and marriage together with all the ups and downs that come with it. Number 7 is Link and Zelda from Skyward Sword. Only Skyward Sword. Again, if you're not a stranger to my Zelink video, then you know, yeah, it's only Skyward Sword. Maybe a couple others, but not really. Admittedly, this is the only video game couple to make the list, but that's no matter. Both Link and Zelda in this game are very sweet, very caring, but also both very brave and very strong. Zelda has this fiery side along with a strong sense of leadership. Link, of course, is courageous, and his ultimate reason for fighting is because of his love for his best friend, and eventually something more, Zelda. And of course we know that Link would fight if Zelda's father had asked him to for the sake of their land or for the sake of the world or to save anyone really. But the fact that it's for the heart-pounding reason of the woman he loves, it makes that story even more impactful, and it makes you want to play the game even more. And it's all of this that makes those cutscenes even more heart-shattering. Number 6. Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley from Pride and Prejudice. And if we're talking movies, specifically the Keira Knightley one. If I was gonna name a couple from Pride and Prejudice, you would think it would be Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. But no, I mean, it's great that they get over their pride and their prejudices, but the real main couple that I love from this book and movie story is Jane and Mr. Bingley. Jane is so sweet and kind, and of course understanding how life works back then and how marriage works back then, she knows that her family cannot afford for her to fall in love. She needs to get married in order to make sure that she's protected and provided for. But thankfully, she gets Mr. Bingley, who truly, truly loves her, and she loves him. Certainly Mr. Bingley is well off. I'm just saying it's so great that in this story they both are very kind and sweet people that just deserve to have one another. Number 5 is Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark from the Hunger Games series. While anyone who knows my love of the Hunger Games probably isn't shocked by this, I was. Not only was I shocked that it got this high up, but I was honestly shocked that these two even ended up on the list. Why is that? Because of all the tragedy and depression that engulfs their story. Most of their story, or at least the story we get to read, is just filled and shrouded in gore and violence, terror, war, depression, and pain. All that said, it kind of makes their love story even more authentic and more touching. Their love was born out of the tragedy, out of the atrocities surrounding them. And that's amazing. Sure, if the games had never happened, Katniss probably wouldn't be attracted to Peeta, but because they share that bond and they understand one another because of the games and what they've endured together, they know that only the other understands what they're going through. No one else can understand as much as they do because they've experienced these hardships directly together. And it's through these games that Katniss sees them in a new light as well. They stick by one another, and sure, it's not the most romantic story there is, but it's strong and it's powerful. Number 4, Nani and David from Lilo and Stitch. Most forgotten couple ever. Think about this. Nani is 19. She's lost her parents. She is a teenager trying to provide for herself and take care of and raise her little sister who's considered an outcast and has an alien for a pet and then eventually lets aliens enter her home. She's strong as all get out. Meanwhile, Dave is just like, all right, I'm here for you. He's so chill with everything. In fact, it's probably everything she's going through and dealing with that makes him admire her even more. David is just such a sweet, kind, and chill dude, and that's exactly what Nani needs amidst the chaos that is her life. In addition to this, David also very much cares for Lilo and protects and loves her as if she were his own sister. Also, we cannot forget the response David has when Lilo tells David what she read in Nani's diary about him, which was something to the effect of, she thinks you have nice hair and a cute butt. And how does David respond? She likes my hair? You know, as if he already knew he had a good-looking butt. Anyway, I feel this is a very glossed-over couple, and I love them so much and knew they deserved a higher spot on this list. Number 3 is Eugene and Rapunzel from Tangled. This is another couple that might seem obvious for anyone who knows my love of the movie Tangled, but it was also another couple that I didn't expect to rank this high. I mean, yeah, it's my favorite Disney princess movie, but I guess there was this part of me that was thinking, well, I obsess over this movie so much, surely once I start going through these other fictional couples, I'll have like a new, fresh idea of all these different couples and I'll kind of forget about Tangled and be like, oh yeah, I've obsessed over that enough and put them lower. But no, when I was going through this list, I was reminded all the more how much I love this couple. Rapunzel may be a tad naive in the beginning, but she is strong and determined to find out who she is and what the world has to offer. Her independence really seems to shock and move Eugene in a very unique way. Her independence seems to really kind of catch Eugene off guard, and he starts to view her in a new light and see her for the unique young woman she is. And thus, he falls for her in spite of all of his ego and pride, and I think those vices in him begin to dwindle as he's around her more. He sees there's a lot more that's way more important than just what he wants. And the way Eugene grows from calling her Blondie in the beginning, and then at the end when he's trying to save her and she's saving him, calling her Rapunzel. It's simple, subtle, but very sweet. Number 2 is Molly and Arthur Weasley from the Harry Potter series. Of all the couples in the Harry Potter series, why these two? Let's be honest, there's not a ton of great example of couples in the series. I mean, there are plenty of couples, but most of them are like young teenagers and some of it's fleeting, and then, you know, some of them end up getting married and that's fine, but I dare say the only other great example, at least as far as I'm remembering, is Tonks and Lupin, whom I do love a lot. But what I love witnessing is this older married couple who have been together since their years at Hogwarts and have endured so much together but remain just as strong in their friendship and their love for one another. We see so much kindness and respect shared between these two, and I love it. They embrace life so lovingly, as married couples ought to do. I mean, look how many children they have, and look how many they welcome into their home as one of their own, like Harry. They remain loyal to one another and strong for the other throughout all the struggles life throws at them. It's not often that we see great long-time married couples written out like these two, and they are by far some of my favorite characters from the Harry Potter series. Before we get to number 1, I have a few quick honorable mentions, some of which might seem a little weird, but whatever. Guy and Faye from That Thing You Do, and Mulan and Shang from the Mulan movie. And my number 1 absolute favorite fictional couple, Astrid and Hiccup from the How to Train Your Dragon movie and TV shows. If you've been watching my recent videos, you should have seen this one coming. Between the 3 movies, the TV shorts, and the 2 different TV series, there is so much to these two. We get to see so much of them from the beginning before they really get together through all the way that epilogue in Hidden World. Oh, so good. So good. I mean, if you watch everything in chronological order, like story-wise, not from the time they came out, you get to see them from age 14, 15 through 21, 22, and beyond. And there's so much growth in that amount of time. You really see and understand why and how they are a couple, and that it makes so much sense, and that it is so beautiful. Okay, sure, Hiccup already had a crush on her in the first film, but after that, I really think he tried to kind of keep that by the wayside because he had more important tasks on hand, like figuring out what to do about dragons and all the things he had to explore. What's also beautiful is Astrid's change and growth concerning herself and how she feels towards Hiccup. I mean, she never hated Hiccup, but he definitely wasn't really even much of a friend. He was just the chief's son, a little different from everyone else, but that's okay. However, after writing Toothless and hearing what Hiccup has to say and seeing how he acts, her mind really starts to change. She sees him in a new light and begins to understand what makes him so different, and she admires that, and it changes her for the better. She really gains a heavy amount of respect for him, something she clearly states in How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World, where she tells Hiccup that she's who she is today because of him. And when you watch everything, yeah, it makes sense. By the end of the first movie, they're definitely good friends, and throughout the series, they become best friends and rely on one another for advice and help and support when it comes to all of their adventures and endeavors on Berk, on the Edge, everywhere in the archipelago and beyond. And clearly, they both eventually realized that they wanted to be more than friends, to dedicate their lives to willing the other's good. And we see this in the episode Blindsided from the Netflix series Dragon's Race to the Edge. From that point on, we see this beautiful relationship blossom and bloom based on respect, admiration, friendship, trust, and it is so thoroughly authentic and genuine. And everything I've just said is just a fraction of the reasons why I love this couple so much, why Hickstrid ranks number 1 above all fictional couples for me. While I am kind of growing weary of top 10s and top 5s, sometimes they're kind of overdone, I really wanted to do this one just as an excuse to talk about really cute couples, I don't know. But what do you think? What couples make your list? Are any of them the same? Are there any different ones? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to like and subscribe. Anyway, that is all for today. Thank you for watching. And of course, thank you so much to my patrons like Justin, Greg, and Andrew. Y'all's support is very much appreciated. And if anyone else would like to get in on the special stuff that I offer my patrons, just go to patreon.com/thegeekapprentice. The link is in the description below.